Hello everyone, my name is Alfie, and today I will be taking a look at multiple altcoins. These are the ones that I will review today, which include Audio, VTHO, CHZ, STPT, MBL, DENT, STMX, and ONE. These are coins that have been that have seen a recent pump, honestly, but I think they can repeat that pattern for sure. So let's get started with audio. To start off, let's draw some Fibonacci resistances, because these are always very useful to me, at least. Yep. And if we zoom in, we can check if these resistances still apply. And I think they do, yes. So what is the current scenario for audio? Let's get the RSI in here as well, and the MACD, and let's draw a trend line. Now there's one major trend line that's going on over here, and as you can see, it recently had an exponential increase, and after that it needed a retrace, which has been going on for about 2 days now. It also looks like the bottom is forming a parabolic curve, which means that the bottom of the parabolic curve is currently very close. As you can see here, it starts decreasing, and it increases. Oops! It increases slower. It decreases slower. Sorry, and then from here it might start going up again. That is one scenario. And to illustrate this, there seems to be a pretty strong resistance about 3.4 out here. So we can draw a horizontal resistance there, a horizontal line, which represents a resistance. And then we can draw a descending trend line, which is clearly going on. So what can we see here? From the looks of it, audio is forming a bull flag, which means that it can bounce up and down between these lines and then eventually go up again. So what I want to look for with audio right now is a breakout. This means that the top descending channel must get broken. So if we look at this, if this is a parabolic curve, it could break out pretty soon. It should be around this line. The MACD values are very low as well, so there's a lot of up potential still. And the market cap of audio is still quite low, below 1 billion, I believe. So it definitely has a lot more potential than where it is right now. As you can see, the all-time high is about $5, and the current price is 3.4, yeah, about 3.45. Another scenario would be that it could follow this descending channel, so go down, and then maybe up to this trend line. This line doesn't make sense, I know that. And then up here. Another scenario would be that it could reject this descending channel again, fall back to this resistance, and then go up, hopefully breaking the next resistance. I am in audio right now, so I'm hoping for this breakout, which would be confirmed in, let's see, in about 4 hours from now. So that's something I can look into. And if it doesn't break this the descending channel, then I will most likely get out and wait for a further drop. Okay, well, that is audio. Let's now take a look at VTHO. Okay, VTHO has a pretty obvious pattern as well. And the good thing about this one is that it seems to follow a cycle, which means that here it went up, then it needed a retrace over here, and then it went up again. What this could mean is, let's delete this, that over here it formed an ascending triangle like this, and we saw a breakout and a massive increase in only 1 day or so. So this could potentially happen again, because if we draw the trend lines again here, we can see that a very similar pattern is forming as happened over here. So because it has a massive increase, it needs some consolidation. We can see this on the RSI values, which keep disappearing for me, by the way. Okay, here we have it. So this pattern is very similar to this one, because also on the MACD and the RSI, as you can see, because over here we saw a massive increase here, and then a decrease, which dropped below the average value. And the same thing happened here, although it went way lower this time. There is a decrease here, which could mean that there's potential for it to go up from this point. Oops, that's too high. Go up from this point and then all the way on the top and then down again, as happened over here. Then the targets would be, if we look at the increases in price and the date range. So this is from the bottom to the top. Sorry. Bottom to the top, that was a 130% increase in 2 days and 13 hours. And now if we look at this pattern over here, that was a 122% increase in 1 day and 3 hours. And the same thing seemed to have happened over here, but slightly different. So if it keeps repeating the cycle, then another, at least more than 100% increase could be happening soon, which would mean that the price target would then be around 0.036. This could happen in 2 days again. So if you want to buy in, I suggest waiting for a breakout of this trend line, which would be in a maximum of 14 hours, so pretty close. So just look for a breakout, which means that it could reject this, then reject the support, and then go up. Another thing that could be happening is that it could break out potentially over here right now. And then there's the bearish scenario, which means that it could fall below the support and then down. And if it falls down, we can see how far it will fall down by using the Fibonacci resistances again, from the bottom to the top, which would mean that it could fall down potentially to 0.0172 or 0.0173 before going up again. Let's look at the next coin, which would be CHZ. I have reviewed this coin quite a few times on my channel, but it kept disappointing me. Although there was a massive increase and it earned me a lot. Let's look at it now. We can draw a smaller ascending channel over here, which seems to be happening right now. And then we can draw a big descending trend line over here. Oops. Which seems to have broken sometimes, but the prices seems to be controlled pretty heavily by some people of some sort. Okay, this would be a better representation, I think. There is an event happening for CHZ in 2 days from now as well. So that could have big results. When that happens, we could see a breakout, or perhaps we could see a breakout sooner, because from the looks of this, it might take a maximum of 13 hours to break out of this. Looks like a bullish triangle. This would probably mean that it could reject this once more and then go up. And because on the 29th, on the 31st of March, there's an event, it could pump up way higher than we can now expect. But it can also just keep following this trend line over here. And fall back and go up, fall back and go up, like this. And there's also the bearish scenario, which sometimes happens during these events, where a massive dump happens, which means that it could potentially go down further. To see how far it will fall down, we use the resistances again. Which means that the potential fall would be to around, well, 0.5 would be a good resistance, I guess. To be precise, 0.496. So it might be a good buy, but I would wait for a breakout. And even then, it has broken out before from descending channels. But I don't know. It's a pretty weird coin. There's really the technical analysis don't seem to work as well on this coin as with other coins. The next coin would be STPT. Yeah, let's delete all this. Okay, here we go. Now, BTC fell a few days ago and seem to have recovered right now. But this means that STPT has had a massive decrease. That is potentially purely due to Bitcoin. Okay. But what is the current scenario for STPT? As we can see, I don't think these resistances are, yeah, okay. As we can see, STPT is clearly on a ascending channel, which we can draw out with an ascending trend line, and a pretty steep one at that. The RSI is also in a good position, so it seems to be pretty bullish. And if we look at the 4-hour chart, we can see that a massive dip occurred because of Bitcoin, but it is looking very bullish right now. You can see that mostly because the blue line crossed the red line to the upside, which in most cases that is a very bullish signal. To see how far it can go, well, actually there's really no way of knowing, because the all-time high is 0.11, but I feel like it definitely has a lot more potential because the market cap is really low, so it could go way further than that, but it's really hard to see where exactly. What are the current scenarios on the short term for STPT? Well, we can draw a descending channel again, which actually seems to have broken already. So the current scenario, in my opinion, would be 1, it rejects this trend line, goes down to the descending trend line, which is now a support, and then goes up. The second scenario would be that it just keeps following this trend line, perhaps goes up more and more, and goes up, breaking a new all-time high. And another scenario would be when BTC, where BTC would fall back further, which I don't think it will, because it is looking bullish right now. and it could fall back to this resistance and then go up, or potentially lower to this resistance and then go up. I don't think it will drop much further than that, because even though Bitcoin dropped a lot, you can see that it still had a pretty good resistance over here on the 0.067, 0.068. Yeah, so I definitely think this coin has a lot of potential. And it has broken out, so it should be a pretty good buy right now. If it rejects this trend line over here though, if it keeps going down further, then a potential entry would be around here, which would be around 0.084. Okay, the next coin is MBL. Okay, there seems to be a clear cycle here as well, same as with VTHO, but maybe even a better recurring pattern, because it happened once, twice, and perhaps it's bound to happen for a third time now. This pattern is very similar, because if we draw a line through the averages of these things, we can see that it has it's following a sine wave, and then it goes down. And here's the same. It's following a sine wave, but a bit deeper, because again, BTC screwed altcoins here. And then it could potentially go up. To see, okay, yeah. Let's draw some resistances to make this a bit more clear. Over here. As you can see, there is a pretty strong resistance around here, the 0.18, sorry. And it has rejected that support and is now on its way back up. This means that on the short term, I think a similar pattern as to the pattern over here is happening. And if we draw some other resistances, for example over here, let's move that a bit higher, and another over here, we can see that every time before a big pump, there is a smaller pump and then a fallback. Well, here there's really no fallback, but well, actually there is a fallback. So there's a very similar pattern. There's a small pump, a fallback, and then a massive pump. And currently, MBL seems to be on that small pump. So if this pattern would repeat itself, then what we could see is a fallback soon, maybe down to this resistance, and then a massive increase, definitely breaching all-time high. And to see the potential of this increase, we can look at the previous cycles again. If we look at those, we can see that here it increased with 50%. After that, it increased with 150%. And then for the third time, it increased with 100%. So the average of these would be around 100%. A 100% increase, so I definitely think it can have a 100% increase again, which would be to around up to around 0.0375, and that would mean that there's a new all-time high, and then it could fall back, consolidate, and do the same. Also, if we look at the 4-hour channel, which we are looking at right now, we can see that there is a massive fall here. Again, most likely because of Bitcoin, and it's now on its way back up. The RSI is increasing rapidly as well. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the most likely scenario to happen. Of course, there are other scenarios. It's hard to predict which ones exactly, but another scenario could be that it might follow this ascending channel this ascending trend line. And then it would see a slower increase, but still an increase. It could break this resistance and then keep following this trend line. Also reaching an all-time high, but probably in a longer period. And then of course there's a bullish scenario where it could drop down below this trend line and below the support line perhaps, and then stay above this support most likely, because this support has not yet been tested properly. So that could happen as well. And the next coin is DENT. I am currently invested in DENT, and I will explain why. If we look at the 4 hours, again I can see a recurring pattern. This happened 2 times now, and I think it will happen the 3rd time. This pattern looks like this. There's a massive increase, then there's a really steady period, which took a very long time over here, but then there was an increase again, and a consolidation where it was very stable again, but here it only took a few days compared to here where it took a very long time. And then there's another increase here, and then a consolidation, and then it's very stable around here as well. Because the time took shorter here, I think that it will definitely take shorter on this time as well. So I have pretty high hopes for this coin, because I want to see this increase again, which would mean that there would be a, okay, this might be a bit much, but 330% increase over the course of 4 days, which is pretty insane, I have to say. And here it increased with 130%. So I doubt it will see another 330% increase, but I'm hoping for at least 60 to 100% increase. To see when a break, we can look at when this potential breakout would happen by drawing some trend lines again over here. Let's get rid of this. And then a descending channel over here. Like this. And if we take a look, we can see that it has tried to break out many times on the upside. Also here on the downside, but this is mainly again due to Bitcoin. So what will happen, what is most likely to happen, in my opinion, is maybe a small rejection here, then a fallback to the trend line, and then an increase. Another scenario would be an increase right now, and then the third scenario would be a fallback to, if we draw the resistances again, there could be a fallback to around, I think it's hard that there's a small chance that it can immediately break this resistance, which is around 0.01, but it could, and then it could fall back to 0.0084. But I think these scenarios are most likely to happen, and I'll explain why. Because the cycle is very similar, as we can see on the MACD as well. We can see here that there's a small increase, then a big increase, then a consolidation up to here, and then a big increase as well. And as we can see right now, it is in the consolidation zone, and it is looking a bit bearish right now. But if we take a closer look, we can definitely see that there is an ascending path here, which is what I'm hoping for. This would mean that the MACDs would cross each other over here, and then we could see another big increase hopefully soon. Yeah, perhaps with one little dip, which happened here. We take a look here. It was a small dip around this area, so there could be a small dip around this resistance as well. But I will just hold. I don't want to sell because of a small dip. It's very risky to do that. So I will hold this coin, and I hope for a 100% increase this time. And then the target price would be, oops. Yeah, the target price would be around 0.02. Yeah. A potential good entry, if you want to be safe, would be after a breakout. So then a potential entry would, maybe it can go up and then retest the support and then go up. So then a good entry would be around this area. Wait, we can illustrate this better by using an ellipse. Oops. So it would be around this area, which is 0.0104. Or right now, which I did. Or another entry could be around this area. If we see a rejection of the support, and that is around 0.01017. Yes. We have 2 more coins to go, STMX and 1. So let's get right on to STMX. Which also has a similar pattern, but I won't get into that, but I'll just look at the trend lines right now. There's an ascending trend line over here. There's a descending trend line over here. And it seems to be ready to break out of this very soon. Perhaps even this 4-hour chart, it could break out. If not, we could see a fallback to this support and then an increase or a breakout, sorry. Another scenario would be a bearish scenario where it falls down. Before we do that, we can take a look at the resistances again. Yeah, always the same, always the Fibonacci retracement. It's just such a good tool for me, and it's so useful. So this seems to be a good support. So then it could fall back to, yeah, okay. I really think the most likely scenario is either this or a potential increase right now. So then potential entries would be around here if we see a breakout, which is around 0.057, or when it rejects this support, which is around 0.0545. If it does not reject this support but falls down, then it could fall down to this resistance over here, which would be, and then go up maybe, oops, which would be around 0.045. Yeah. Okay. And this definitely looks like a bullish triangle, by the way. So that's a bullish sign as well. Okay, and then the final coin, which is 1. Yeah. I am not looking at the fundamental analysis of these coins, by the way, because really I only want to do a technical analysis at this point. If we take a look at 1, there seems to be a pretty similar pattern over here as well, where we see a big increase, small consolidation, big increase, small consolidation, big increase, consolidation, increase, consolidation, increase, consolidation, which would mean that a consolidation could be going on right now. So it could fall back and then potentially go up. Let's have a better look at this. Also, the MACDs just crossed each other, so that's a very bullish scenario. But the RSI has peaked, and most of the time it will need a small fallback after this. the support zones are... Oh, it actually reached a new high, all-time high, by the way. So the support zone for this fallback would be to 0.18, but I doubt it will go that far. If we look at the maximum decrease of the others, of the previous consolidations, we can see that a decrease of about 25% is happening here. Then there's a decrease of about 20%, an increase of about 18%. So the average decrease would be around 22%. So if we look at that, then it could potentially fall back to, well, 0.17. Do I think this will happen? Maybe. It definitely could, but another scenario would be where it could retest this this resistance, which has now become a support from the all-time high, which would mean that this scenario is most likely, but I'm not sure about these two. So there could be two scenarios. One, a fallback to about this resistance and then up. A smaller decrease to the resistance from the previous all-time high, and a bearish scenario, which is the less likely option to happen here, so fall back to this resistance. I think the most likely scenario is this one. If you want to get into this coin, then I would suggest looking at this point, or looking at either this point, or maybe even this point. So these points, these entries would be around 0.177 and 0.206. If you want to be sure that you have a good buy, then wait for a retest, and if it rejects it and it goes up, then you can be fairly certain that this is on a new ascending channel. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and these were some of the altcoins that I was looking at, that I am looking at currently, which seem interesting to me, and which seem to have a lot of potential in the upcoming months. Well, see you guys later.